Let's take a look at the plywood that we got out of the shed. As I said in the design portion of our project, my intention was to build at least 2 platforms that the cat could fully stretch out on. And I was shooting for 2 foot by 3 foot. So this is 40 inches wide and 37 inches long. So if we split this in half, we'll have 2 20 by 37 pieces. That's great. That'll work just fine. Not quite as large as I intended, but it's plenty of room for the cat to stretch out. So we'll cut that in half. That'll give us 2 platforms for the cat to sit on. Got this piece, which I had laying around already cut. This is 31 by 22. So this is another good one. The cat can pretty much stretch out on this one. And that'll give us, between the 2 things, that'll give us 3 pieces that are big enough for the cat to spread out on. I'm just going to have for the pieces that the cat will use to step up to the top. I found this laying around. This is 15 by 18. The cat could sit on it easily, and it'll make a good step up to the next level. So we'll use that. And I've got this piece, which has, this is 13, and I'll make 2 pieces 18 inches out of it. It'll give us 2 more steps to get up to the top. So I think that will do it. We have plenty of plywood here. If you don't have any plywood to scrounge, and you have to buy a sheet, you'll have to lay this out to make maximum use of the sheet. And we'll go to the whiteboard and I'll show you how to lay it out. So I want to see if 1 sheet will give us all the pieces we need. I find the easiest way to do that is to draw it out, and this way you can see what fits and what you have left over, if any. So here's our plywood. And of course it's 4 feet by 8 feet. We decided that we wanted 2 large platforms for the cat, 2 foot by 3 feet. So if we do 2 feet and 2 3 foot pieces, so that's 2 foot, this is 3 foot, and 3 foot. That takes up almost half the sheet, and we have this little piece left over here, which is 2 feet long, and obviously this is not to scale. We also wanted 2 12 by 18 pieces, so that will give us, actually stop there, that's 1 foot by 1.5 feet, or 18 inches. So we have 1 foot here and 18 inches there. We also said that we'd like to have 3 intermediate platforms for the cat to step on to get up further. So that would give us, we have another 3 feet here, so we break that up into 2 pieces, 3 pieces rather. Each of these will be 12 by 12. So that 1 sheet would give us all the pieces that we need for this project, and we would have left over a piece 1 foot by 8 feet and another piece 3 feet by 2 feet. So plenty left over for another project. So 1 sheet definitely will do it. Actually, 1 sheet will not do it. I forgot about the base. We're going to need a piece 30 inches by 84 for the base. So we'll have to have a 2nd sheet, and that'll leave us quite a bit left over for another project at some point. My apologies for the confusion. Let's take a look at how we're going to mock this up. I've placed a board on the ground representing the floor. If you don't have a board, you can use a piece of tape or whatever you have. So we'll measure off of that to wherever we end up with our platforms. And that'll give us the dimensions that we have to cut the limbs to, that are going to hold the whole thing up. in order to hold these up while we make our measurements, I'm just going to take a clamp and stick it on the edge. So this will hold it vertical while we fool around with it and lay it out and see what we end up with. I want to end up with a top shelf about 7 feet off the ground. That should give the cat plenty of room between the ceiling and the top shelf to lay around up there. And then we'll step down the other platforms appropriately as we go along. So right here, I'm going to measure out 7 feet, and I almost hit it right on the nose. That's good right there. So the top shelf will be there, and my intention was that side over there would be, that side on that far side would be the side that would go against the window in my daughter's apartment. The cat likes to sit there and look out the window, of course. So if that's the top shelf, then the one that I think she's going to sit on the most will come down a little bit, and we'll set that one up. So this is approximately where that's going to land. We'll make this piece intermediate to those, and then I'm going to take the small ones and we'll fill in various places so the cat doesn't have a huge step to jump up on to get from one level to another. So it's starting to take shape. I'm going to move these around, fiddle with them a little bit, see if we can get them maybe a little better arrangement. It's kind of hard to tell. There will be a base on this, but I don't have plywood for that. I need a larger piece than any of the scraps I have laying around. So I'm just going to simulate that with this at this point. Just stick this in here. It'll give us a better idea what it'll look like. Also, some of these pieces will not be all the way back against the wall. Some of these are going to be out here somewhere. Kind of showing this two-dimensionally because it's very difficult to mock it up otherwise. The cat, as I mentioned, is a Norwegian forest cat, and it's enormous. So she will not have any trouble going from one level to another. But I do want to keep the steps kind of reasonable. So I'm going to just jockey this around a little bit and until I come up with this arrangement that I'm happy with. Now, let's think like a cat for a moment, as horrifying as that idea is, and see how the cat would go from the floor up to the top shelf there. So, cat starts here, goes here. Could either go here or here, up to that level. Take another jump up to here. Move that back a little bit. Then to there, to there. So cat will have to turn around a little bit in various spots, but they like to do that. So I think this will work. I may squeeze it down a little bit. I think it maybe the 7-foot height is a little bit too much. So let me rearrange this. I'm going to squeeze this together a little bit and see what we get. So in this configuration, the top shelf is about 6'4" from the floor. I think that'll work out good. I think that's about the same as the existing tree they had, which is way too small. Our next step is to take the branches that we collected and try to fit them in and see how we're going to cut them so that the entire thing is supported. And it looks to me like this would be a good, excuse the cameras here. It looks to me like that'll be a good one for that. We can cut that off. That'll give 3 points of support to that middle shelf, and it'll come down to the base. That's just the right length for that. Trying to decide whether to cut the bottom a little bit or to stay with that and leave the forks there. I think that looks pretty good as far as where the forks are. So I'm just going to clean the bottom up a little bit and then mark the top cuts, and then we'll rough fit that in there. That'll be sufficient support for that middle shelf. We'll have 4 different points holding it up, so that'll be nice and stable. And then once we have this in, we can start worrying about the top shelf and how we're going to secure that. We'll mark this cut roughly where we want it at the bottom, cut that, and then we'll bring this back in here and see how it fits with the platforms above. So I'll just take a Sharpie. Put a mark on it right there. That is roughly where I want roughly the position I want the thing in, with the angle compared to the platforms. So if I cut that off square here, we should be in good shape. Continuing to cut and try various pieces, try to lay out the rough structure for it. So here's the middle platform. We have one support down there, and this will give us, excuse the video here, this will give us 2 more. So that platform will have 3 points of support, which is good enough. Over here, this branch has 3 points coming out of it, and I just cut this one. Hope you can see that, which also has 3 points coming out of it. So that particular platform will have 6 points of support, so that'll be plenty stable. The top platform, I just cut this piece. That has 2 points of support on it, so that will hold this well on that end. So as far as the basic structure, we just need something to go from the base all the way up to that upper platform. I have a branch here that's long enough, but it's a bit spindly. So I'd like to find something a little bit more robust for that. So I think we'll go back to the wood pile and see if we can find some more branches that are a little bit tougher than that. But we're getting there. It's coming along. Essentially, the process is, I'll wait for the traffic. The process is eyeball it, cut it, try it, adjust it, cut it, try it, adjust it, and so on and so forth. Because this is a organic structure and we're using natural materials in their native state, it's pretty much an iterative process. You cannot just expect to cut something on the first shot, have it work perfectly, and then move on to the next thing. It's not like building a piece of furniture or working to a particular drawing using square lumber. So you just have to be patient, keep trying the branches, and if you don't have the right branch, just go find another one. After about 3 hours of cutting and trying, this is what we have. The basic structure is mocked up. We have each platform, each of the main platforms, supported at least 3 points, and some of them are supported at 4 or 5. This should be plenty strong enough to hold up all the platforms with the cat or multiple cats on them if they get more cats. So I think we're in pretty good shape with this. Next step is to cut all these to final length, put all the platforms at the right height, and install the smaller stepping platforms in various places around the structure. So that wraps up part 2. In part 3, we will finish cutting the branches to the exact length. We'll do a trial assembly and start working on the castles. Thanks for watching. Yin's come back now.